My name is Darlene Corbett. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a licensed therapist and success coach. I speak on helping people get unstuck. And tonight I'm going to talk about getting unstuck, tapping into the power within you. How many of you know people who are stuck? How many of you know people who are stuck and don't even know they're stuck? How many people know people who are stuck and don't think they can get unstuck? Well, that is a false narrative, which I'm going to prove this evening. People get stuck and then they think they're stuck and they'll never be able to change. And yet change is all around us. Externally, internally, regardless, people say, I can't get unstuck. When they get stuck personally, it often impacts them professionally. When they get stuck professionally, it impacts them personally. Relationships are affected in both arenas. Finances are affected in both arenas. Why? People are not able to be as productive as they can be. And it affects personal finances. It often affects corporations' profitability. People get so stuck that we don't even realize the impact. And in 2013, Gallup did a poll. How many of you are familiar with this poll about the American worker? Anybody? Well, let me tell you, they did a poll, and I revisited it for 2017, and a lot hasn't changed. What they found is the American worker in 2013, 70% of the American workers were highly dissatisfied. Of that number, 18% were so dissatisfied that they undermined the contentment of their fellow workers. Corporate America recognized we have a problem. So what did they do? They went out and they did short-term things that they thought would be helpful. They went out and bought ping pong tables and expensive lunches. And that worked, again, in the short term, but in the long term, it wasn't effective. What Gallup discovered, and this will not take rocket scientists because it's about relationships, that if supervisors or managers or employers supported their subordinates in a way that was positive, that got them to see their strengths, that got them to think differently about themselves, they hypothesized that the American workforce would double in productivity. That's major. And yet, I don't know about all of you, but I still hear people come in and say, Darlene, I love my work, I love what I do, but the workplace is toxic, or the people around me are unhappy, or my manager's unhappy. And often they'll go to people, you know, above them, and people will say, listen, that's just the way they are. That's their personality. They're never going to change. They can't change. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, guess what? I say, being in the field of people for years, that is a defeatist position. It's a false narrative. I can give you many examples of stories that I've seen where people can make changes. But for now, I'm going to mention the science behind this instead. I'm a hypnotherapist, so this science really resonates with me. Neuroplasticity. How many people are familiar with neuroplasticity? Yes, very good. Thank you. So you know that plasticity goes on in the brain. Now, if you told somebody that, they said, well, of course. But the thinking from Galileo's time until the early 1900s was that the brain is like a machine. If a piece breaks, you're out of luck. Then they discovered in the early 30s, that's not the case. Children have plasticity, malleability in their brain, but then the window closes. In the 60s, they realized, oh no, this goes through the life cycle, from cradle to the time we leave this earth. And there's a wonderful example I want to give you that I learned about. There's a physician that his father had a stroke in the late 50s, early 60s. Now we know, because of resources, you can only work so much with stroke victims, at least that is what we still do, and then the window closes. They can do as much PT and OT. Well, this particular physician was not buying it. He understood a bit about neuroplasticity. He took his father home, who had this massive stroke, and he treated him like a baby. And he held him, and he got him to crawl, eventually to walk. The man's functioning eventually improved, and he lived another 5 years. He married again. I believe he taught as a professor again. He died of a heart attack, ultimately. They did an autopsy on his brain, and they discovered that that lesion never healed. What happened was the brain remapped itself with practice and over this movement, which I can't define for today, but it has vast implications someday for all people that will live in the next several decades. But they realized, yes, the brain can remap. Now, why is this important for what I'm talking about? We're talking about behavior. We're talking about behavior that people think is fixed. Well, this is the way they are. Oh, no. Because habits are forms of behavior. They start in the conscious, and they go to the unconscious. And they can be changed. They're stubborn. But you think about it. If somebody retired, they learn how to play bridge. They learn to play golf more effectively. They learn a foreign language. They learn a new instrument. And yet to change behavior, oh no, they're willing to go to the gym often and work on that muscle and chisel that muscle. But to practice mental rehearsal, which I'm going to explain in a minute, is a way to change behavior. Mental rehearsal is the highest form of, well, mental rehearsal is in a high form called mental chess, which I'll get to, but mental rehearsal, which works with physical rehearsal, really augments somebody's performance. In fact, they've done studies that show that just mental rehearsal alone sometimes can go ahead of the physical practice. It's visualization, it's focused attention, it's scripting. And why that resonates again is because I'm a hypnotherapist by background. And the highest form, as I mentioned, is mental chess. What is mental chess? Well, I'll give you this example. Many years ago, a man was captured by the Soviet Union when it was the Soviet Union still. And he was put in solitary confinement. And they said, he thought to himself, my brain is going to atrophy. I better do something. He practiced mental chess, back and forth. He came out of solitary 9 years later. Eventually, he migrated to Israel. The Israelis invited Gary Kasparov to come and play chess, and many people challenged him. Everybody lost but this gentleman. Mental rehearsal, which is the reason now I talk about getting unstuck. I actually have an acronym I've developed, and I invite people to take this and to go home, think about it. And what I do is I have people begin to visualize and script. U is for unique. No one's like us, no one ever will be. Even twins who share DNA have their own fingerprints. Think about what's unique about you. When people say that, oh, Darlene, there's nothing special about me. I'm friendly, I'm kind. But that's your uniqueness. That's your unique, the way you display it. And it's for new. The past serves two purposes. One, savoring the delicious memories we can think about. Two, what do we learn from? I have people write down something new. Write down something new that you haven't even thought about or that nobody else knows. S, strength. We all have inner strengths. I have people practice an inner strength, whether it be visual, whether it be bodily feeling, whether it be a thought, a sound. T, tenacity. The most successful people are the most tenacious. They're not always the most gifted, the most intelligent. They go up that mountain 20 times, and if they fall back, they keep going, and they may reroute. U for unique again. I don't have to say it again. C, creative. We are created, we create. Some people discover their strengths and talents at a young age. Some people after 50, 60, 70, 80. K for knowledge. There's ways to learn. We're all lifelong learners. I always encourage people, whatever way, being a voracious reader and loving to write, that's my thing, but whatever way, take this Unstuck and you apply it and you practice and practice and practice and you will see a change. And what people will do, I'm hoping with this, if they practice visualizing, speaking, doing it in a form of mental rehearsal, focused attention, visualization, they can make a change. And then I tell people, when you make a change, you're going to discover maybe things that you never knew you had. And you will stop depriving the world of you. And will you not only stop depriving the world of you, you might say, look out world, here I come. Thank you very much. And I hope you share this with anyone that you know could benefit from it. Thank you.